literally. All right, here we go. We're live. It's Monday morning. Da-da. Everybody. All right. So I hope yesterday was awesome. Hope tomorrow's twice as good. But we're going to talk about today. You know what we're not even going to talk about? Well, maybe we are. I want to talk about something that's already passed, but it's going to impact the future. Okay. It's this. We're all going to get chances to do things. Opportunities come knocking all the time, but we're busy, we're distracted, we're all kinds of things. We don't take them because they're inconvenient or they're hard or whatever. But when opportunity knocks, I'm telling you guys, answer the dang door. All right. I'm going to give you an example. 33 years ago, I was living in Chicago, me and my roommates, right? And a buddy of mine calls me up, says, hey, let's go to the NHL All-Star Game. It's at Chicago Stadium, right? This is 1991. And it's Saturday morning. I'm just kind of sitting there, maybe even a little hungover probably. It's middle of January. I look outside, a little bit of snow. It's cold, cloudy. And I'm like, yeah, I lived up in Wrigleyville. The stadium's on the west side. Getting there is going to be kind of a pain. It's going to be expensive. I didn't have that much money. You know, I was working all these. Yeah, that'd be fun. But do you have tickets? No, I don't know. All that stuff, right? So I'm like, yeah, I'm out. I'm just going to watch on TV. And he says, well, I'm going anyway. And he goes. He calls me back later that afternoon, says you should have come to the game. A friend of mine, his name is Rick Anderson, is a medical doctor or whatever, works with the NHL and worked the game that day, got him into the game, not only into the game, but got him into the locker room to meet the players and hang out. Very cool. But I stuck on the couch doing my thing, right? So I missed out. That's a big opportunity I missed out on. And I remember him telling me that, and I'm thinking, you know what, son of a bitch. I didn't go. Why didn't I go? Because it was hard. It was inconvenient. It was, you know what? If I ever get a chance to go anymore, I'm going. And since that day, I've gone. Somebody asked me to do something, I'm there. Yes. Hey, you want? Yes, I do. And sometimes I get burned. But you know what? I've lived a really big life. I've done a lot of really cool things because of it. Recently, last week, 7 + 2 days, 9 days ago, my wife and I went down to Anna Maria Island to see a really cool Airbnb house. It was awesome. We drove 7 hours. Hey, you want to go see the school Airbnb? Yes. It's in Anna Maria. Yes. 7 hours. Yes. So we drove 7 hours and we went. We just drove there and we went and looked at this house. It was super cool. They opened it up to the public to see it. And it was really, really cool. They did some really wonderful stuff. And we drove back. And then Thursday, Helene hits. Friday, they put out a note. Unbelievable. Our beautiful home has been destroyed because of Helene, right? Because we went. We didn't wait. We didn't put off. We went. We got to see something that's no longer there. So cool. So cool. I love it. I mean, it's sad for them, but I'm thinking for myself, like, holy cow. We went, we did it. We saw it. I mean, you don't know. Nobody knows. Right. So my point is when you get a chance, take it. That's not to be stupid either. Do your due diligence. Hey, you want to invest in some crazy ass thing? Yes. No. Pause. Maybe. Right. Let's look at it. And let's just apply this business wise. You get a chance to see a speaker. You get a chance to see Gary Keller. Julie, remember back in the day we went and saw Rush Limbaugh in Chicago because you're doing that stuff. We saw Richard Branson. We saw a bunch of really great business people, great speakers.
Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan.
Yeah, it was so cool. Julie worked at a magazine that got us, or her and me by extension on occasion, to go see these people. And it was so great. If you get a chance to see, Gary Keller or somebody, or go to see somebody's operation of business or whatever, take that chance. If it's somebody you admire or you're trying to get to. Think about it from a lifestyle standpoint. If you get a chance to travel, hey, you want to go to Europe? Yes, let's go. Do you want to go see this house wherever? Yeah, let's go do it. It makes for a bigger life. Spiritually, if you get a chance to go, I went to a funeral once. All right. I don't like to make light of a funeral, but when I worked and lived in Chicago, a gal who was from the south side of Chicago, and they do things a little different down there. Somebody in her family died. I think it may even been her husband. And they invited myself and another, my partner at the time, to go to the service. Now, if you've never been to a service, the African-American gal on the south side of Chicago, it was me and my roommate, me and my partner, we're the only white gentlemen in that place. And it was a lot of, I don't know, it's a Southern Baptist. It was a lot of, can I get an amen type of stuff? I'm like, yeah, amen, right? I was into it, right? I'm looking around like, holy, yeah, amen, right? Can I get another amen? Yeah, amen. Up and down. But it was super cool. I mean, I shouldn't say super cool. It was super interesting. It was different than, I get on your knees, pray to God, all that stuff, right? Be quiet. Don't talk to anybody. Pay attention, right? Slap upside the head. That's what I was used to for church. So that was interesting. And if you get a chance to go to another religious ceremony, right? When people get married, there's different things. And I think it's really neat when you get that chance, because it'll give you perspective, it'll give you insight. If you're so of the moment or whatever, it'll convert you or reinforce where you're at. All those things. There's so many interesting things. But if you don't take the opportunities, or if you shut down and put only on blinders, you're going to lose those opportunities. And your life is just going to get smaller and smaller, especially as you get older and older, where it should start to expand out. You have fewer friends, which means fewer opportunities. You have fewer acquaintances, which means fewer opportunities, until pretty soon you're looking around. Nobody's asking you to do anything anymore. Okay. Now, let me put some on the other side. Your schedule is vital. Your routine is massive. All those things. But what you want to do is schedule your fun, and then leave yourself open for certain things. Because if you have no fun, there ain't no fun, hon. Right? Mm-hmm. So you gotta be a little bit disciplined with your crazy side. Does that make sense? All right, Mark, tell us about this.
Yeah, the purpose of business is to fund an ideal life, and you've got to put in the ideal pieces and schedule around it. And I think there's a reason why certain phrases have survived the test of time, and one is carpe diem, seize the day.
Seize the day.
And that has been standing since the time of Rome. And I think that those are those moments, and you look back on them. I had the good fortune on several occasions to see live Jim Rohn, and even met him. And one of the only times that I was just speechless. I mean, I made a fool of what came out of my mouth because I was in so awe. But I look back on that and I go, yeah, I'm glad I flew across the country to see him, to meet him. Those are those moments that you look back on that we're seizing the day. Did I have the money to do it? No. Do I now? Yes, I'm glad that was invested. And anytime you have the opportunity to invest in yourself, say yes.
Sure. Julie, you've done some things.
I go to events as much as possible. And Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, I met them at several times at the same event. They would kind of do stuff together. And I remember Zig Ziglar, and I don't think it was a quote, it's just something that came out of his mouth. But basically, he said, don't miss the meeting. And his point was, whether it's a blizzard or, a storm of some sort, you go to everything, and you might not like everything that you hear or see or experience. But, and I don't know if this is his phrase either, but eat the meat, throw away the bones. So you basically take what is valuable, and you might get one great out of 3 days of an event, or, like John says, and I imagine a lot of you know this, John played hockey and grew up in North Dakota. And so going to this NHL event and getting in the locker room for John was a bigger loss than most people.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me.
Yeah, just, take the opportunity and go meet people. I was at an event last week and met the first female fighter pilot of a F-14 Tomcat in Navy history. And she was phenomenal, Carrie Lorenz. And I just, you never know who's going to be at what. So you just go and learn and take in the opportunity, whatever it might be.
I remember my friend Todd called me up one day. This is got to be in the 90s, Minnesota. Hey, you want to go see this band America's playing at the St. Paul Capitol built grounds? I'm thinking America. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Yeah, we go there. Now, if you don't know who America is, Google them. They got about 1,050 hits. And they started playing. I'm like, oh, I know that song. Oh, I know. Like an hour and a half later, it's like, holy cow. They're amazing. Destiny, what do you got? I know you've run into things as well.
I've run into things, but my experiences, I think, are a little bit different. I think about, how tomorrow's never promised, and so seizing those moments. Jackson, my son, wanted to go on an airplane ride this summer, and that was a goal of mine, to give him that airplane ride. And there was nothing better than seeing him look out the window and then look back at me with the biggest smile on his face. That was all he wanted, just to ride on an airplane. And so just living in that moment, like Mark said, didn't really have the money to do it, but saying, you know what, I have it right now. Let's do it. I'll work harder when I get back. Yep. And so just living like there's no tomorrow sometimes, and embracing those small moments.
Totally love it. Now, again, you got to weigh this stuff out, right? Mm-hmm. No fun, no fun. It works that way. So you got to be disciplined enough that you can earn the income. But once you get it, make sure you and even as you're getting it, make sure you leave yourself open to opportunities and do the due diligence. You're going to get hurt sometimes. You're going to go on that flight. It's going to be the worst trip of your life, and things are going to get canceled and blah, blah, blah. But that's part of it. It's part of the experience. You're going to create a story at the very least that you'll tell for years. Look at me. I'm telling the All-Star Game 33 years later.
And talk
I remember
to
another
people.
one. I remember another one where I just moved to Chicago. I was living out in a suburb called Hoffman Estates, outskirts of Chicago.
708er.
Yeah, right. And it was in the spring, and the Cubs were playing. They were having their first home opener night game, which, if you don't know, the Cubs didn't have lights. They didn't play night games at home until 1991 or 2, somewhere thereabouts.
Games always started at 1:20.
Yep, started at 1:20, and they're always day games. But this was going to be the first home opener in Chicago, home game under the lights. And I happen to be in Chicago. I'm like, Tim, my roommate, let's go down there. Now, Hoffman Estate's about 40 miles out. We got to go down there. Everybody at work, I was telling, hey, everybody, I'm going to the game tonight. Do you have tickets? No. It's going to rain. Really? Parking's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be expensive. Oh, my God. If I had another reason, we'd go for hours, right? I'm like, oh, all right. Well, see you tomorrow. And we went. We drove straight there, no traffic, got the parking, no problem, bought scalp tickets, no problem. We went to the opening night, first ever night game at Wrigley Field.
Wow.
And it was great. Here I am telling that story again. So again, let yourself have moments, all right?
And engage. The thing I would add is engage. A lot of times people get kind of shy and they don't want to talk to people, and just recognize that a lot of people are that way. Talk to people, ask them questions, be curious, get them talking about themselves. You never know who you're going to meet and what kind of cool stories you're going to hear by asking questions and listening.
I went to a bar across from the St. Louis Cardinals Stadium and ended up in an hour-and-a-half conversation with Oral Hershiser.
Yeah.
And just picking his brain and talking. And he definitely liked to talk about his journey. And it comes back to being in that moment, being curious. And I think, we talk a lot about the 80-20 principle. And I think that part of the things that we miss sometimes, because we need to be focused, 80% of our time needs to be focused on the 20% things that make the difference. But we also need to understand that we only need to max out 80% of our time and leave room for the 20% margins. You can't.
There's plenty of room.
There's plenty of room. If you will spend 80% of your time on the 20%, then the 20% allows you to seize those moments. Don't be so rigid that you stick to the schedule 100% of the time. You can't, but leave the room for the margin of those moments, because when you sit back and you go, yeah, I mean, this guy, Hall of Famer, Golden Glove, or what, just to have that conversation. Yep. You can't be always on.
I promise you guys, if somebody says to you, hey, do you want to go see such and such. I have a ticket. Go.
Yeah.
Go.
That's how I met Michael Jordan for the first time, accidentally.
For the first time. What, do you have several times, or what are you doing here?
Chicago. Yes, I met him more than once, randomly. To your point, like just being somewhere where he was, not because I knew he was there, and not because of basketball. I was playing blackjack in Atlantic City. This is when I was still in college, visiting a girlfriend, and he sat down next to me and was playing blackjack. I didn't know who he was. And he was not a basketball star professionally yet, but he was college.
Oh.
Yeah, and this is East Coast, so everyone there knew who he was. But we played for a long time, made a bunch of money, and then he got up and left, and the blackjack dealer said to me, "Do you know him?" And I said, "No." "Is he a friend of yours?" "No." And I thought he was accusing me of cheating because we teamed up, and we were high-fiving and stuff. And so then when he said, do you know who he is? That's the third question. I said, "No." And he says, "That was Michael Jordan." And I said, "Who's that?" And everyone at the table just screamed. That's
You
how
know
I
what's
met
really
him.
weird? He's sitting around somewhere with a big cigar right now and a drink, telling, "Yeah, I was in Atlantic City talking to this gal. We were winning big."
I didn't know. They were going nuts. They couldn't believe I didn't know. I'm like, this is pre-Bulls. This was
So good.
and I didn't watch college basketball. How would I know?
You went to-
Mhm.
Who's to say, right? So here's the thing. Life's going to give you opportunities. It's going to come knocking, right? Make sure you take those opportunities. Because again, at worst, you can have a cool story to tell. At best, it'll change your life.
Mhm.
But weigh it out properly. Don't take up every opportunity every day, right? We went to the Loom House. I took 0 days off of work, and I didn't go to the hockey game. It would have been 4 hours off the couch. I could have squeezed that in. So you can do it all, right? Our meetings were over lunch, right, Julie, where we used to go see these speakers. It was a lunch gig downtown Chicago. That was so cool.
I worked in marketing, and I got
Yeah.
to go to all these events because I worked for a magazine that rated ads and stuff. So it was always different people having to do with marketing. Yeah.
So good. All right, Des, you got anything else to say?
Nope. I think this is it. Seize the day.
Seize the day. Mark, you got anything?
Hey, these are the moments that we live for, and entertain everything, buy just a few, but explore those options.
Smart. Julie, take us home.
Go for it.
Love it.
Do the best you can.
All right, so it's Monday. It's the first day of the week. Let's get after it. We got the fourth quarter about to hit.
Woohoo!
Really cool. All right, let's go to work. We'll talk some more tomorrow. Have a good day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.